Let me start by first introducing y'all to our speaker and workshop facilitator, Akshay Parak. Akshay is a first year graduate studying HCI at IU as well. We are classmates actually. And other than that, he also has experience working as a user experience designer at Deloitte India. So without further ado, let me hand it over to Akshay.
Hi everyone, this is Akshay, and I'm going to be walking you through the basics of Figma today. Now, to give you a brief introduction about Figma, it is a digital design tool which allows you to create any kind of digital product that you see out there in the market today, be it an app or a website, or you could also use it to create presentations or social media posts. And one thing I would like to say about Figma is that Figma, there were quite a lot of design tools before Figma as well, like Sketch, Adobe XD. But what made Figma really popular is that it added like collaboration capabilities to design tools which never existed before. To give you a reference, what Google Docs allows you to do instead of Word, it allows you to collaborate with different people. Think of Figma the same way when it comes to the design tools industry. I'll quickly start sharing my screen and show you the basics of the interface. So Figma has its own native app for iOS and for Mac OS and Windows as well. But it's basically a web-based tool. So you will get to use the same capabilities even if you go on to figma.com. Before I ask all of you to go to figma.com, I'll just walk you through the basics of Figma today. So when you first load up figma.com, and assuming that you have not created any designs in Figma, it will show you the recent page, which is going to be this page, which will have all of your designs. And if you are new to Figma, this page will be blank, and there'll be an option to either create a design file or a FigJam file. When you click create a design file, this is what you will see as part of Figma interface. And here you will see that Figma has created a page for us, which they have named as page 1 by default. When you click on it, it opens the page panel for you on the left side. You can double click on the page name to rename it to whatever you want. You can create a new page by clicking on the plus icon, and you can rearrange a page by dragging and dropping it to whatever position you want. This on the right side is an inspector panel, which will show the properties of whatever you are creating in Figma. So right now, we haven't created anything, so it is just showing me the property of the blank canvas or the page, which is the background color, and you can go ahead and change the background color as well. So I'd recommend you to keep it to the default because that is the best suited for designs for white and black elements. So let's switch to the design file that we have created for the presentation purposes. As you can see, we have created pages on the left side. And this is a blank page where I'm going to be introducing you to different elements and objects in Figma. So we saw how to create pages, rename them, rearrange them, or change the background for pages. Now let's switch to the most basic element in Figma, which is frames. On the top left side, you will see that there are different tools available in the toolbar, right? From the move scale tool to frames, slice different kinds of shapes, the pen and pencil tool, the type tool. This is quite basic if you have used any kind of design software before. To get started, the first and foremost thing we are going to do is create a frame. Now, when you click on the frame tool, you can either select it from the toolbar, or you can just press the F key on your keyboard, which is the frame key shortcut. And as soon as you choose the frame tool, you will be presented with a predefined set of devices on the right side. You can choose If you are designing an app or a mobile version of a website, you can choose from any device, right from iPhone to any Android device. For tablets, right from iPad to Surface devices. For desktops, iMacs, MacBooks. You can also create presentations with specific aspect ratios. You can also create apps for Apple Watch. Or if you are creating a document, you can choose any size, right from A4 to tabloid. And it also allows you to create social media posts for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn covers, etc. So if I don't want to choose any of these predefined ones, I can just drag and drop my mouse to create a random frame. But if I want to choose a predefined set, I'll just go ahead and choose iPhone 11 Pro Max for presentation purposes here. Now, as I said, like whatever you are creating in Figma, be it an object or an element, as soon as you create it and you select it, the inspector panel changes its interface and shows you the properties which are relevant to that selected object. So as you can see, we are presented with the position values, which is the X and Y value. If I go ahead and change that, it will reposition the frame to the zero and zero values of X and Y axis on that page. You can also modify the height and width from here, or you can alternatively also modify it with your mouse by hovering your mouse over the edges of the frame. And this is how you can resize the frame. Now you'll see a link icon on the right, which also allows you to lock the aspect ratio. So if you're going to be doubling up the width, it will automatically double up the height as well, and it will resize that frame proportionately. But if you unlock it, you can again resize it as a free-form object. It won't lock the proportions for you. And then there are some basic customizations, like you can set an angle to a frame, or you can also add like a curved radius to a frame. Like if you want to be really realistic about your designs and you are designing for something like an iPhone, which has a curved display, you want to make sure that there's no content on your design which is spilling out of the curved edges. So you can find all these properties on the right side in the inspector panel. And there are some advanced properties as well, which we won't be covering in today's event, like clip content or auto layout or layout grids, which we'll be covering in a future event as part of Figma advanced session. The other basic property I would like to introduce you to is the fill and stroke property, which allows you to change the color of the background of the frame. So you will see like a 6-digit alphanumeric number over here, alphanumeric like code over here, and associated percentage value. And as soon as you click on this square, which represents the color, it allows you to pick any color and also allows you to change the hue in terms of scale. And as you will see, like as I'm changing these colors, the 6-digit alphanumeric code is also changing at the bottom correspondingly. So this is basically like a unique code given to each and every color on the color spectrum, which a computer display can show. And the percentage value corresponds for the opacity, which is basically the transparency value of that object, which I'll introduce you to shortly. But for presentation purposes, let's just go ahead and keep the fill of the frame background to white. And I'll be introducing you to strokes and effects as I talk more about shapes. So that's about the frame. Now I want to talk about like the basic interaction. So if you are currently using Figma on a laptop, which has a trackpad, you can just pinch in and pinch out using two fingers to zoom in and zoom out. Alternatively, if you are using a mouse right now, you can just use Control+ to zoom, Control- to zoom out. On Windows.
Akshay, we have a question in the chat
Okay.
box.
Yep.
How did you curve the edges?
Yep. So if you select a frame, you will see a corner radius property in the inspector panel, and you can go ahead and set a radius to it. So this is the output after setting the radius. So that's how you change it. So basically, whatever object or element you are creating in Figma, you have to select that object, and you can customize all its properties on the inspector panel on the right side.
Also, sorry to interrupt you. In case any of y'all have any questions at any point of the time during the presentations, just feel free to get yourself off mute or put it in the chat box. We'll most definitely answer it as soon as we see it.
Sure. Obviously you can pinch in or pinch out to zoom. You can use Control plus to zoom in, Control minus to zoom out, or Command plus, Command minus on Mac. You can also, one more interaction I would like to talk about is whenever you are creating an element or object in Figma, you can select it. And while pressing the Alt key on Windows or the Option key on Mac, you can keep it, like you can hold the Option key and you can drag that object to create a duplicate of it. So you can also do this by just Control C, Control V, copy paste. But you can also duplicate it using the Alt key. And the last interaction I want to talk about is whenever you have selected a specific element or object in Figma, you keep pressing the Alt or the Option key on your keyboard and you hover your mouse over any other element, it will give you the distance value in terms of pixels, how far it is from the corresponding object. So that's about the basic interactions. Now let's talk about shapes. So as you can see, the toolbar has all kinds of different shapes, but I'm going to be talking about the two basic ones that we mostly use in design, which is the rectangle and the ellipse. So when I click on the rectangle tool, I can also alternatively just press the R key on the keyboard to select the rectangle tool. And then I am presented with like a cursor, which allows me to create a random rectangle on the frame. And I can just go ahead and create a random one right now. Again, if I have not selected it, it will just show me the inspector panel will just show me the properties of the page. But as soon as I select this rectangle, it will just show me the properties of this rectangle. Now, these X and Y values are with reference to the frame, not the page. So if I go ahead and select 0, 0, it will take the top left corner of the frame as the starting point for both the axes. So this is the position of this is relative to the frame, and the width and height, it acts just like the frame. You can also go ahead and create a square by using the same values for height and width, and you can lock it in place. So whenever you're going to be resizing it, it will automatically resize proportionately. And again, you can also set an angle to it or add like a corner radius to it. So one thing which you can do for the shape and not the frame is that you can obviously customize the corner radius by manually entering a value here. Also, you see when you hover your mouse over the object, you will see like a circle icon on the edges, which will allow you to manually, sometimes you don't get an idea of how much the corner radius should be, but when you do this manually, you get a better idea as to how much you want it to be like. So this is also one way of interacting. And other properties that we can see, the fill property is the same as the frame. You can go ahead and choose any color you want. The second property that I want to talk about is the opacity, which is basically like if you have two overlapping shapes, you'll see that there's no kind of transparency effect which is being created right now. And if I want to create something like that in my designs, I can just like reduce the opacity, which is basically the lesser the opacity, the more transparent your object gets, and it allows you to give like a see-through effect through your object. So this is how you can create the transparency effect by modifying the opacity of an object. And again, there's something called a stroke. So I am pretty sure most of you might be aware about it. It's basically like an outline. You can modify like how many pixels do you want that border to be, like how thick should it be, also should that border be on the inside or the outside or the center of the object. And there are different kinds of effects. So for example, if I had like a white background, I'm not able to differentiate it from the frame background that I have, which is also white. But I can create all kinds of different like inner shadow, which gives it like a bevel effect, or a drop shadow, which allows it to stand out even though the background color is the same. And then when you click on this icon, you also can edit the properties of the drop shadow. So how much blur do you want to add to it? Or there's also an opacity associated with the drop shadow property. So you can see like this is a very, very strong drop shadow versus this is a very subtle one. So that's how you can use different kinds of properties to create and customize shapes in Figma. There's also an ellipse tool, which you can also open up by just pressing the O key on your keyboard. And again, since it's like an ellipse, so first of all, I created it by holding the shift key. But if I hadn't held the shift key, it would have created an ellipse for me, not a circle. But as soon as I hold the shift key, it locks the width and height in position. So that's about shapes. And there's also all kinds of different arrangements and alignment properties available. So for example, if as I showed earlier, you can create a duplicate by, also one more thing I forgot to talk about. So you can also customize one specific corner radius too. So like if you just do this, it will automatically change it for all the four corners. But if you hold down the Alt key, it will allow you to change it just for that corner. Or you can also select this icon on the right side of the corner radius property to just like give specific corner radius values to each shape. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the effect. I'm going to go ahead and change the color, and let's show you different things we can do with the alignment. So let's say that these objects were aligned randomly right now, and you go ahead and select these. Whenever you're selected multiple objects in Figma, it will present you with a set of alignment options on the top right side of the inspector panel. So you can go ahead and align it to the left, which will align it to the leftmost object, to the right, to the top, to the bottom, and also center align it or horizontally center it. And the last option is distributing. So for example, let's say we had one more object here, and these objects are not distributed at equal distances. So first thing I'm going to do is like center align them horizontally. And then I'm going to go ahead and say distribute horizontal spacing. So now you can see that it has distributed them at a 1 pixel distance from each other. So that's how you can distribute them at equal distances. And other thing is creating a mirror by flipping it either horizontally. You can access different actions you can perform on an object by right clicking on it, and you'll see like a flip horizontal option or a flip vertical option. And Figma will also give you the shortcut associated to each action on the right. So you'll get more faster at using Figma. And the last two things I want to talk about in shapes is the arrangement and grouping. So if for example, if we had two objects, and I want to bring the object which is behind to the front, you can right click on it and you'll see like bring to front versus bring to back. So if I want to just bring it one layer above, I'll just say bring to front and it will bring this object on the top. Alternatively, I would use something like bring to forward if there were like multiple layers on top of it, and I just want to bring it to the topmost layer. And the vice versa works for send to back and send backward. And the last thing is about grouping. So if for say we had like different objects, and this is something which like this is either a part of my logo or this is a part of like I want to associate it with a group. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select all these objects together, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna right click and create a, like I'm gonna select group selection. So whenever I'm gonna be moving this, it's gonna move as a group. And if I want to edit something, I'm just going to right click, double click, and then I can go inside the group and change every specific object. You can also group it by using the shortcut Command G or Control G, and ungroup it by uh, Control Shift G or Command Shift G. So we learn why groups are specifically used in design. Um, and the last thing we are going to be talking about today is the type tool, which is basically it allows you to add text to your designs, and you can customize it in different ways. So now that my text is selected, you will see that I obviously have all these properties, but I have the option to change the font. I have the option to change the weight. So I can make it bold or italic. I can also go ahead and change the font size. So if we had multiple lines of text like these, I can also change the line height like this. I can just drag and drop my mouse over this, or I can like enter a manual value over here. I can do the same for letter spacing, which will allow me to add more space between different alphabets. And if for say I increase the bounding box, which is like sometimes in design, you want to limit your text to a specific width. So this is the fixed size property, which will wrap around the text if it goes beyond a specific width. So for say, I keep pasting or I keep typing, it will wrap the text accordingly, and it will not let anything spill out of that bounding box. But if I had something like this and my box was bigger, so if I just have hello world, but my box is bigger, I can just like either set it to auto width, which will keep it to the least, auto height, which will reduce the height and width to the specific verbiage that we have used. And the same goes for auto width. And if we had a larger box, we can also set the text alignment horizontally by bringing it to the center or the right, or vertically by bringing it to the middle or the bottom, like this. And then there's stroke and fill for the type tool as well. And last thing is, you can go ahead and explore this whenever you will be learning Figma, is that whenever you click on this three dot icon, you will be presented with another set of text properties, which is like decoration, underline, strike through, line styles, adding bullets, or uppercase, lowercase. So subscript, superscript, all this is possible in Figma using the type tool. So yeah. If we have time, I can use 2 minutes to introduce them to the pen tool as well. But if we don't, we can switch to the collaboration mode.
I think you can introduce them to the pen tool.
Okay. So if you have used any other design software before, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with it, but pen tool is basically a tool which allows you to create custom shapes in Figma. We are not going to be using the pen tool today, but you can go ahead and explore it by yourself. It allows you to create like different intersection points for a shape, and then change the curvature corresponding to each point like this. So let's say I've created the shape, but now I see that like there's a bend tool available, which after creating the shape, it allows you to convert it to a pointed or a curved point. And you can also go ahead and modify the curvature associated with each point. So if for say you had to create a logo which has a curve in it, something like the Apple logo, so you can also combine different shapes like different circles and create it. But for custom curvatures, you can use something like a pen tool. So yeah, that's about it. So we have created a different page which will allow us to collaborate and recreate a website. For today's presentation, we are going to be using this as an example, which is the Apple Store's website. And so this is the original version of it. Have we deleted that? Let me just open this.
I think you can show them on the website also.
Okay, yeah, that will be better. Let's open it up here. Store.apple.com.
Meanwhile, we've dropped the link to the Figma file in the chat box. So y'all can click on the link, just put in your email ID and sign up, and y'all will be able to work on the exact same file as Akshay is working on.
Yep, so you can go ahead, open up the link. This is what you will be presented with. You can go ahead and select the collaboration page on the left side.
If you see, we have created art boards, so you can just rename one of the art board by your name, and before just rename it so that when Akshay starts explaining, you all can start working on your personal art boards.
Okay, so if you can quickly just switch to my screen for a minute, my screen sharing for a minute, you will see that this is the Apple Store website that Apple recently introduced, and we are not going to be recreating the entire thing. And the purpose behind recreating an existing website is that even like most designers, when they start, I've seen that once they are able to recreate something that is out there in the market, they get like a good confidence boost, and it gives them that um, ability, or like basically they start thinking that if I can create something like this, I can create basically anything I can imagine, or any idea that I have in the future. So we are just going to be learning Figma as of now, so that's why we are going to be recreating it. And this is the original version of the Apple Store website. For recreation purposes, we are going to be skipping some basic parts like this one and the subheader, and just so that it seems uh, less intimidating to you, we are just going to be creating this first component and then just create a duplicate of it, change the text and the image. Same goes for this. We are just going to be creating one and then just duplicating it, change the image and the text. So yep. Is everyone here? I just see. Are you guys able to access the Figma file?
Were you all able to sign in to the Figma software, the web-based software, or? I think let's give them a minute to see if they're signing in, and that might take a minute, I guess.
So we have posted the Figma link in the Zoom chat. If for some reason you are not able to open it up or you don't get access to it, let us know. We can help you get in. Should we get started?
I think, yeah, before you get started, just go ahead and rename the artboard. When you all zoom into either of the white boxes, you will able to see that on the top left corner, there is Apple store website already written. So we have already created these artboards for you. Just double click on them and rename them to your name, just for your sake, so that you know that which is your artboard in case you zoom out.
Yeah.
And like how to start and all of that, Akshay will definitely explain. So yeah, I think you can start. Were all of y'all able to get a artboard and rename it? Give us a thumbs up in the chat or anything so that we know we can move forward. Would y'all also want us to go a little more slower or faster, or is this pace okay? Okay, great. So I think Akshay, you can start by like letting them know like how to start and all that.
Yep. So we
Also, I think it would be really helpful for y'all if whenever Akshay is explaining, y'all can be on his screen, and then we'll give you time to go back to your screens and work on them again. And meanwhile, if y'all have any questions when he's speaking, if he's going too fast or if he's going too slow or if he's going just about right, just let us know like in the chat box or come off mute.
Is he talking right now? Because I don't hear him.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Should we start again by explaining?
So if you guys
Akshay, I think they cannot hear you properly. Are you muted?
Oh, sorry for that. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. I was on mute. So you can go ahead and click on the text tool and type the same verbiage, stores the place, the best way to buy the products you love, right? The best way to buy the products you love. So as I said, if you have the San Francisco font, perfect. If you don't, use Helvetica or Arial. Create this text. Once you have this text in place, go ahead and change the font weight to something which is similar to bold or semi-bold on the right side, and the font size somewhere around 48. Perfect. So even if it does not look the same, it's perfectly fine. And we're going to make sure that the second, like the sentence that we have after the word store, we are using the gray hex code for it. So you can go ahead and choose like any gray for that matter, which is slightly like a dark gray, not black.
We have actually also added rectangles of the colors used in the design right above the artboard. So you all can also use the color picker tool to choose the color. Akshay can show you that again if you all want.
Yep. So if you wanna just change the fill color of a specific part of that text, you can like select that text and you'll scroll down in the inspector panel. You can click on the fill and there'll be like an eyedropper tool inside it. Select that and you hover your mouse over the swatch that is above your frame and choose that color, specific color, so that now you will see that it has picked the same color and it has allowed you to change the color of the font. So, yep. And then, yeah, you can align it to the specific X and Y value if you really want to be like, you want to create the exact same thing, or you can like keep it like to a specific distance from the left and the top. The other thing that we see is that the Apple Store website is not using a white background, and obviously you can see that the white elements are standing out slightly more. So this is the hex code that they are using, which is F5, F5, F7. You can go ahead, select your frame, edit the fill to F5, F5, F7 as well.
Or you can also copy paste it from one of the rectangles
Yeah,
that's there above
the
your
second
artboards.
rectangle. Yep.
Were you all able to do that?
Yep.
Were
I
you all able to
see
do that?
like
Okay.
3 people, 2 people have already done it. Yep. So the next thing that we are going to do is create a rectangle first and then add rounded corners. So you can choose the rectangle tool. You can create any random shaped rectangle, and then we are going to modify the width of that rectangle first, which is 136 pixels, or you can keep it somewhere around that value, and the height to be 148 pixels. Again, like somewhere around that value also works. And the next thing we are going to do is change the rounded radius to 18. Or you can also manually choose a rounded radius value that you like prefer. And
I think all of y'all try and come to Akshay's screen in Figma or the Zoom screen. So like, even if you're not able to do the entire thing today, it's okay. Just see how he does so that it'll be easier for y'all to go back to your artboards and do them again.
yeah. So as you saw, I just created a rectangle. You can also, there's also one more thing about Figma is that if you right click on a specific object, it not only allows you to copy paste that object, it also allows you to copy the properties of that object. So when I right click it, I say copy properties, and I paste it on some other object, you'll see that it has automatically used the same rounded corners for me. So for quite a lot of elements that we are going to create today, you can copy the properties for reference, but when you are creating your own designs, you can also use it to apply a property that you have used on an existing element. It can also apply for something like text. So for say, if I have created a different text, which has a completely different font and a completely different size, if I just copy the properties and paste it over here, it will automatically keep it like duplicate those same properties for this specific text layer. Okay, so back to creating the rectangle. Go ahead and create a rectangle, add rounded corners to 18 radius, and you can choose to keep the width somewhere around 140 or 136 and height somewhere around 150. It doesn't have to look the same, so it's fine. And then, yeah, I see that. Yeah, and just make sure that you have aligned this rectangle to the same. So whenever you will be, if you can switch to my screen again, wherever you have placed this text on your artboard, just make sure that whenever you're moving this rectangle, right, it will give you a guideline to make sure that it's aligning to the left side of the text. So let's make sure that it is at least aligning to the text. So from there, the carousel will start. And then we are going to go ahead and add the Mac image that you see on the top of your frame, which is this one. We're going to copy that image, click on this rectangle, paste it inside. You'll see that it has pasted it randomly somewhere outside the rectangle. You can drag and drop it, bring it inside the rectangle. You will see that when you are moving it, Figma again gives you guidelines. So let's make sure that it is centered to the box. And we are going to create one more text layer inside it. So again, selecting the text tool and saying, let's type out Mac, and we want a smaller font size, something like this. On the original one, they have used a 13 font size SF Pro medium. So if you have the font or something similar, let's try to replicate that.
Excuse me. Could you show us how to bring the
You'll also see that if you start off with a higher font size and then you reduce the font, the box is still bigger. So to fix that, you can go ahead and choose auto height, or sometimes auto height does not apply if the font size was already bigger and then you made it smaller. So you can just use the same font size value for the property of line height. So if I go ahead and define line height as 13 as well, it will reduce the bounding box. So this will allow you to align it better in the future. So do we have?
Do you all have any questions, anything with respect to the image, the box, the text, anything?
Can you show us how to bring the Mac icon?
So, 1 second. So let's just make sure that they have this one element created properly, because once that is in place, all the other elements will be a duplicate of it. So just give me 1 minute. Okay. Yeah.
My friend had a question.
Can you show us again how to bring the Mac icon? Because when I bring it to my square, it's behind it. It's not showing in the front. I right-clicked and I selected bring forward, and that didn't work either.
Yeah, Joshua, Michelle.
Joshua, the bottom right-hand corner at the very bottom.
Emily. Yeah. So in Emily's, guys, if you can pause for a second and switch back to my screen. Joshua, for you can drag and drop this image on top of this one. Let me just grab you another image for it. I think it's currently being shown in a. And then now you see that it's hiding behind this object. So we are going to go ahead and bring it to the front so that we are able to reposition it with respect to. Okay, so I think the reason why you're not able to do that is because yeah, I'm just like, I think he is, yep. If I am able to bring it to the front. No, I think this rectangle is outside your frame. Yep. Now you should be able to proceed. Yeah. So you can go ahead and center the image, add a text below it. For Michelle, you can narrow down your text width like this, and then you can just drag and drop it inside the box. If you want, you can add more height to this box so that you can accommodate the text below it. And for Emily, I think the only thing Emily needs to do is to increase the height like this. I'll undo it so you can do it. And then the text should be inside that box. And then you can go ahead and reduce the opacity of the box. Before you do that, I would recommend you to, if you can switch to my screen once again, I'd recommend you to select all the three layers, the text layer, the image, and the background. Then press Ctrl G or Command G, group it up, and you can either double click to go inside the group, select the background, and reduce the opacity all the way to 0. Or you can also make it the same as the background color so that it's not visible. So now, before you go ahead and proceed, do that. You will see that like this allows me to just duplicate it. And then I can just go ahead and change the image and the text later. So we just need to make sure that this one component is made properly.
Do you all want to go ahead and like spend some time on your screen and do it? Let us know when you're ready so that we can move forward. Actually, we're very close to the close time, but we can extend it by 10 minutes or 15 minutes if you all are willing to work. And then we can stay around and answer any doubts if you all have.
Yep. I see Michelle has already done it. Emily, so has Michelle created a group? Nope. Okay. Nasir is, yep, was done. So guys, I think, yeah, Joshua, the only thing you would need to do is like select all these three layers, press Command G or Control G, group them up, and then duplicate it. Yep, I see you have created a group. So Joshua is sorted. Michelle, I think, is there a rectangle behind? Yeah. And is it a group? No, it's not. So if you can just switch to my screen quickly, you will just need to select all these three layers and again group it up. Control G or Command G. Perfect. And then I think Emily, the same for you. And once you have grouped it, you can reduce the opacity of the rounded rectangle. And I think same for Nazir, yeah. Joshua, I'd recommend you to delete this one because we are going to be replicating the Mac box first, and then we will just replicate this component so that it makes our workflow faster. So if we spend time recreating it again and again, it will also make our workflow slower. Cool. I think everyone is Emily needs to group these by selecting one of them. Nazir needs to group these. I think Michelle and Joshua are on the same page. So if you guys can quickly switch to my screen, I'm just gonna show how replicating this can make our workflow faster. So on the original website, they have used like a distance of 10 pixels between each box. So as I showed earlier, I'm going to be using the Alt key to create a duplicate, and while doing that I'm also pressing the Shift key so that it duplicates and moves in the same line. And one more thing about Figma is that once you have created a duplicate, it saves the information of how long it was from the original one. So once you create a single instance of a duplicate, you will just need to press Control D or Command D to keep repeating that pattern. So this is how you can create multiple duplicates, which is at the same angle from the original one. So if you guys can see, it's created a pattern for me.
Do you all want Akshay to repeat that again?
Yeah, so
just a second. If you all could just quickly come back to Zoom, he can show you all again like how to do it.
Yeah.
Are you all on his screen? I mean, on Zoom.
Yeah, I think Joshua was able to do it properly. We'll need to make sure that we have created a group, otherwise we won't be able to duplicate it exactly like how it looks on the website. So should I go ahead and do the grouping for Emily and Nazir so that they can proceed?
No, I think let them try it out.
Because Emily and Nazir, if you can just see the screen, see my screen right now. So I'm just going to be using Emily's as an example. So the first thing that we'll need to do is if we can just select the text, the image, and the rounded rectangle, all three of them, and then just press Command G or Control G so that it creates a group like this. So whenever we'll be moving it or duplicating it, it will duplicate entirely as a group. So yeah. I think Emily, you can. So this is the grouped element you have created. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the rest of them because we won't need those. And Emily, you can go ahead and drag and drop it to the left side over here. Perfect. Nazir, were you able to do the same? So yeah, you can just like select all, sorry, I think what's going wrong with Nazir is that he is doing it on a rectangle and not a frame. So what I'm going to do, Nazir, is I'm going to lock your rectangle behind so that every time you're moving something, the rectangle does not move as well. Yep. So Nazir, I think now you will be able to select this like this. Yeah. And then you can go ahead and group it. That is what was going wrong with Nazir's frame. Not both of those, just the Mac, the image and the background, and press Control G or Command G. So this is for reference. Yep. And then Nazir, if I may, I'll just go ahead and delete this because we don't need to recreate it. We have the first one in place. Yep. And the only thing that is that might go wrong here is that the width of this text is bigger than what it needs to be. So you can select the text, and this is how you will set the width for it. So this will make your job much easier now that this one component has been created, right? So guys, if you can switch to my screen for a minute, I'm going to be using this group, right? So first of all, I'm going to select it. And while pressing the Option and Shift key, if you are on Mac, or Alt and Shift key on the Mac, I'm just going to drag and drop it until it says 10. Once I'm there, I have released all my fingers. I've released all like from the keys and the trackpad. I just need to press Command D or Control D, and then it will keep repeating that pattern like this. So let me know if you were able to do it or need my help. Joshua, I think, yeah, Joshua has been able to. Michelle. So Michelle, I'd recommend you to not recreate it, so you can actually get rid of, you can just delete these two. If you can see my screen, you wouldn't need to create it again. So if you can just go ahead and delete it completely. Emily, for you, I would also recommend you to delete this part completely. Not the top one. Yeah. Yeah, you can delete that. I think while you are dragging, you are also selecting the top one. So yeah. Yeah, you can delete this. Now you can select this is a group, right? Yeah, you can go ahead and select it. And then Shift plus Alt or Shift plus Option if you are on Mac. Keep both those keys holded, like, and then just drag and drop your mouse to create a duplicate. Or you can just Control C, Control V, and then bring it to the same. So alternatively, if this interaction was slightly complicated for you, I'd recommend you to, and you are not able to like figure it out, I would recommend you to delete everything that is on your frame except for the first group that you created. Just select it, Control C, Control V. It will paste it on top of the same group, and then just like drag and drop it. Keep doing Control C, Control V, drag and drop it, drag and drop it. So that's how you will create like a duplicate of it. but don't make new ones. Just use the original group that we created for Mac. Keep making copies of it so that we don't have to recreate new ones. Yep. Yeah, I think this was slightly better to understand, right? Yep, I think Emily is doing really good. Nazir is stuck. We'll get to Nazir. Michelle is doing really good. Joshua is also doing really good. For Nazir, I would recommend that so Nazir, if you can see my screen again, you can get rid of, first of all, there's a hidden box which you are not seeing right now. So you can drag and drop your mouse, select that and delete it. And then we are going to create a group of this like this, and then just like using Command D, we have made different copies of the same. Or you can just use Control C, Control V for this one. So Nazir, if you can go ahead and select this, use Control C, Control V and create multiple copies of it. So I think, Sejal, we are slightly short on time, right? So,
we have 5 minutes. So if you want to go ahead and show them the last component that is there, y'all can quickly see the last component, see Akshay make the last component, and yeah, like y'all will always have access to this file, so y'all can keep working on it. And if y'all have any doubt, y'all can email me. I can get in touch with you and like help you out if you want. So I think just watch Akshay on his like on the Zoom screen and watch him make the last component, so that y'all will understand how to make the card.
So as I said, guys, this might slightly seem intimidating at first, and if this is your first time using any design tool, it might take time to get used to it. We are just here to explore. But once you get used to it, believe me, you will be able to recreate any design in a very short amount of time, or even create your own designs. So I'm again going to switch back to what we had created. This is, you can see this is a group which has a text, which has a rectangle behind, and a rectangle which has an image inside it. So it's just that we have made the rectangle transparent. That's why we don't see the background, right? So we have this group, and the purpose of a group is that we are able to move it as a group. We don't need to move the image, the text, and the background differently. So now that we have this group, as I said, we can just copy paste it by using Control C, Control V, and then dragging it. Or alternatively, Figma, as you will use Figma more and more, you will know that if you can create a duplicate using, while holding your Option key and dragging and dropping your mouse, you can, this is a very convenient way of creating duplicates in Figma. And if you just hold on the Option key, it will create a duplicate to wherever you want it to be like. But if you hold the Shift key, it will just go in either a vertical line or a horizontal line. So quickly, once you have done that, you just need to either use Control D or Command D to create duplicates. And then the only thing that you need to keep changing is, for say, I'm gonna select this layer. So you can to either go into this, you can just like double click, go inside the group, again double click, change the text. Now you see that like it's wrapping to a different line because the original text was a shorter one. You can select this, you can make it auto width. The other thing that we did wrong here was that we did not center, define it at the center. If you had done that, it would have made sure that it is also centrally aligned to this box. So for example, if I go ahead and select this as centrally aligned and I make a copy of it, I go ahead and say iPhone, you'll see that it's still centrally aligned to the rectangle like this. So that's how you can keep replicating, editing the text and the image. You can just like grab the iPhone image that we have here and then just get rid of the old one. So this is for the first component. You can keep repeating this for all the other ones. Alternatively, the last thing I would like to say is that you can just right click on it, and the web version does not allow you to replace an image, but if you are using the native app, you can just click replace image and you can choose your file browser to keep replacing images. And I'm going to go ahead and create the last component, which is basically a rectangle of a specific height and width. So I'm going to go ahead, say that the height is 500 and the width is 400. It is, once I've created that, I'll just make sure that it is sent like left aligned to the text and the carousel that we have created on top. So the rectangle that we created earlier had a rounded radius of 18. So we are again going to define that same here. And I'm just going to like use this image on top. I'm just going to drag and drop it on top of the rectangle. So there's something which is called a mask, which we'll introduce you to in an advanced session, but you can also go ahead and define the rounded radius for an image 18. So this is how you can use the image, and then you can use some text, which can be anything you want. For now, we'll just use something like this. And you see that there's a headline which is slightly, which has a slightly higher font value, and it is bold. So this is how you can create something similar to this. And once you have, and then again, there's a sub headline. So if for say we created this component, right? And again, I select all of them, I group them up, and then I either just Option Shift duplicate and then press Command D, or I can just like copy paste it, drag it, copy paste it, drag it. And then you can change the text and the images according to whatever the headline is going to be. So 18. And then you can go ahead and change the text. And if you want to make it stand out more, the last thing I would show is you would just want to add to the rectangle. So this has like an image and a rectangle behind it, and it's completely grouped. So you can like, one more thing Figma allows you to do is you can right click on it, and the first thing it shows is select layer. So you can also select a specific layer from here, and then you can add an effect, drop shadow. So now you see that if you compare the first one and the second one, the first one stands out slightly more than the second one, because even though the background is not completely the same, it is somewhere in the same color spectrum. So you can use drop shadows to make your elements stand out more on your designs. So yep, you can, we'll keep this link open to all of you, and you can keep exploring it, keep, you know, as you like do different iterations trying to recreate the same thing. One thing I'd recommend is you can always, this is the original artboard, you can always select anything, a rectangle or an image or text. Always keep an eye on the inspector panel. Try to make sure that your properties are almost similar to these, so that's how you will be able to recreate it. And you can also create iOS icons, like any kind of icons to be like anything, like it can be to do with logos or basically anything that falls under vector graphics. So you can also keep exploring by, you know, just like dragging and dropping a screenshot on your Figma page. Try to recreate icons, iOS icons, or icons you see on your Android phone. That is also how you'll get to learn how you can and you'll also notice that your workflow will get faster with time as you explore shortcuts and different tips, like tips and tricks that Figma has to offer. So yep.
We can stick around for a few minutes if you all if you really want to spend some time on the artboard. Feel free to like ask us any questions if you all have about the design or anything Figma related.